Joining me now is former RNC chair Michael Steele. I cannot read the teleprompter, and White House correspondent and political editor at the Huffington Post, Sam Stein. Gentlemen, I'm so overcome by Benghazi fever that the words have begun to blur together. Sam, let me start first with you. As a reporter, as someone who watches Democratic politics, will and should Democrats participate in this select committee?
Well, I don't know whether they should or not. The sense that I get talking to people on the Hill right now is that they're leaning against it for precisely the reasons that Representative James Clyburn articulated, which is that they think the outcome is already prejudged. And they also believe that if they don't participate in it, they can cast it as an illegitimate partisan-driven inquiry and not a legitimate fact-finding investigation. So for those reasons, I would be unsurprised, let's say. I wouldn't be shocked if they decided not to participate in this.
Michael Steele, take off the red hat for a moment and put on the blue hat. And if you were chair of the DNC, what would you advise Democrats to do in this situation?
Probably, I think I would be a little bit concerned about it. I mean, because you don't know what you don't know. And when
don't they know what they don't know? I mean, I feel like
were you Rumsfelding here?
Well, no, but this is the point. If you're not in the room,
right,
and you have no idea of what's being fomented in the room, how that's being churned up and then reproduced, and you're seeing it for the first time at the 6 o'clock news or on your broadcast in the afternoon, that's not a good position for the party to be in. So I would be very concerned about what exactly is transpiring in the hearing if there's no Democrats in the hearing.
But let me just respond to that, because Democrats feel like they've already gone through something very similar to that with the IRS investigations, in which Darrell Iss's office and the Republicans on that committee would selectively leak transcripts of some of the interview testimony without much notification for the Democrats on the committee itself. So they're almost used to this, and I don't think they want to participate in something that they think is already prejudged. Now, they may turn around and feel like Chairman Steele's points are valid and that it's worthwhile having someone on the committee, or having at least 5 members on the committee, to at least be able to rebut in real time what's happening. At the same time, they also feel like a lot of this has already been investigated, that there's been, many committees that have looked into it, many documents that have been produced, and that they're very fully aware of what kind of actual, material is out there for the Republicans to use.
Well, and Chairman Steele, it is a question not for there are questions not just for Democrats but also for Republicans in all of this. We know that there are some Republicans, like the Speaker, who are sort of telling the country that this is a serious investigation. Trey Gowdy seems to be saying this will be a serious investigation. And then there are other Republicans who understand this to be, I think, what it is, which is not only a partisan witch hunt, but a very convenient and potentially profitable way to raise money. And just this afternoon, Trey Gowdy doubled down on comments he made earlier this morning, saying his party should not fundraise off of it. There are 4 dead Americans. Do you think that the powers that be can corral the people who would like to make money off of this?
Oh, I hope they do, because I think Congressman Gowdy is absolutely correct. I saw his interview with Joe and Mika this morning. I thought he was dead on about that, and there should not be this opportunistic fundraising, gorging that tends to happen around these types of things. IRS, yeah, we get it, but something like this, where you do have the lives of Americans that have been taken, where I still think are some serious questions that can be asked and answered as new revelations. We don't know what may else pop up. So I'm hoping everyone approaches this from a very serious perspective. But there are political risks here for both parties. The Democrats, if they're not in the room, run the risk of getting blindsided and then having to play catch-up. And the Republicans, again, having to continue the mistake that was made at the beginning of this crisis, if you will, of politicizing it in such a way that it's not credible and the American people lose interest in it. And therefore, it doesn't have any real benefit to the country in terms of getting the answers.
Yeah, I mean, and Sam, you wrote about this. Well, let's show everybody the National Republican Congressional Committee email that says at the top of it, if we can pull that up, you're now a Benghazi watchdog. Let's go. Can we pull up that email? You're now a Benghazi watchdog. Let's go after Obama and Hillary. I mean, if there is anything that is more nakedly partisan and opportunistic, I don't know what it would be.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't apparently take Congressman Gowdy's advice, and they are fundraising off of this right now, and I'm assuming it's a very good fundraising topic. Yesterday we reported on a congressional candidate out in Arizona who was doing this before the NRCC, I should say. This is the line that Republicans walk here, which is exactly what Chairman Steele said. If they go too far, if they bite too sharply, they look like they are just out for their own political benefit, and I think that's a real risk that they have. You alluded to this, Chairman Steele. When Mitt Romney first reacted to this in real time on September 12th, 2012, he really overreached, and it ended up biting him. And I think Republican committees, Republican candidates, Republican lawmakers run the same risk in these first couple weeks.
Chairman, Jane Mayer of The New Yorker reminds the country of what happened in the wake of the 1983 Beirut barracks bombing, in which I believe 214 service members were killed. It was one of several attacks on that compound. And Tip O'Neill, who was Speaker of the House, led a 2-month investigation, the results of which had bipartisan consensus. Changes were made in terms of the way we secure our diplomatic compounds. It stands in such sharp contrast to what has happened in this moment. And I actually feel like it is one of the most searing indictments of what has happened to our legislative branch. The notion that they worked together, there were attacks after this report came out, after these safety measures had been called for, and the president at the time, Ronald Reagan, said, anyone that's ever had their kitchen done over knows that it never gets done as soon as you wish it would. Jane Mayer makes the incredible point. Imagine what Darrell Issa and Fox News would do if President Obama said the same thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a different time altogether. I mean, that's a reflection of how far we have come in the poisonous of our politics, that you do have a Speaker of the House who's holding hearings, an administration that's cooperative. I mean, remember, despite that comment, Ronald Reagan felt very deeply about what happened there and really made the commitment to work with the Speaker. The question that's out there is, okay, so how is the administration prepared to move forward on this? Is the administration advising the Democrats to stay away, or let's try to get to the bottom of this?
Well,
that tells you how far we've come.
Can I just make the point, which is
13 hearings later. I mean, the notion that Tip O'Neill would have convened 13 hearings. The White House has handed over 25,000 pages of documents. If that's not cooperation, I don't know what cooperation looks like. Sam, I'll let you get in there.
Yeah, I just wanted to make the point that I think one of the things Jane Mayer was pointing out in that piece was that the hearings and the post facto analysis of what happened in Beirut were focused primarily on how do you establish better security, how do you get better intelligence to prevent these types of attacks. And that's a good question, 2 good questions to ask after Benghazi as well. But the predominant focus has been on whether or not talking points were adjusted for a Sunday show. And I think that's the point where maybe the priorities are a bit out of whack.
To say it euphemistically. Chairman Steele and Sam Stein, thank you, gentlemen, both for your time.
Thank you, Alex.
After the break, a new